Hey GMs, welcome back to the Essential GM. I've been seeing questions on Reddit about getting started running D&D, especially with Call of the Netherdeep, which I kind of expected, and I'm really happy to see that people are wanting to try out this hobby for the first time, wanting to DM for the first time because of this book. That's kind of what I expected because there's a huge fan base for Critical Role, definitely more people that watch it than play. And seeing them come together and try it out is good for all of us, I think. So I wanted to kind of talk through how I'm planning to run this campaign in hopes that that is helpful to some of you. All right, so first of all, the campaign starts at level 3. That's fine. You can jump in. And actually, what I like to say is as long as you're being respectful of everyone at the table, if everyone is being respectful of one another, there's no wrong way to play. I'm just telling you how I think I'm going to approach this, okay? So I don't really want to start at level 3, and I don't want to start right at the festival. The campaign suggests that maybe you would use this lead-in adventure, Unwelcome Spirits. It immediately starts off with a hex crawl. I'm not digging that. So another adventure in Explorer's Guide to Wildemount is The Frozen Sick. And here on Roll20, which is a virtual tabletop, it is a free module, and I think almost everything is there. You don't have to buy anything. You don't have to buy another book. You're just getting into this for the first time. Let's start with free. What I have also done is Wildemount has a subreddit, and almost every module for D&D is going to have a subreddit, even new ones. Now, Call of the Netherdeep right now is a lot more about news and not so much resources quite yet. As time goes on, it's going to be more maps and resources that are going to rise to the top, right? So checking out the Wildemount one, I've sorted by top all time here, and you have people that are, here's my characters, here's some memes and stuff. Here we go. A map for a place that we're going. And you can just look through and see some of the resources and stuff for the Frozen Sick is here. Here's a map of the village that we start in for the Frozen Sick. I really like some of this stuff by Baby DM. It's made in Incarnate, and I just like the way that it looks. So I've taken a bunch of the maps that this person made and am using those. You can just download these and import them into your Roll20. So I've added some of those. I found some tokens and stuff. I also looked on the Battle Maps subreddit for snow. I searched for snow. There's a point in this campaign when we're going to maybe get into some random encounters in the snow. So I grabbed a couple of maps. All your stuff is over here. The whole adventure is here. You don't even have to play on Roll20. It's just there. So the adventure, all the stuff that you can read is just in kind of tabs by tab, and they're all linked together and stuff. We come to this town, Palebank Village. One person is having a funeral, and they have died of this sickness, and the mayor or elder of the town or something pulls your party aside and is like, hey, this is going to be a big deal for our town. Other people are getting sick. This isn't an isolated incident. Can you look into it? This is where the written stuff that we would start in, right? But before that, what we want to do probably is do a session 0. So let's talk about session 0s for a second. A session 0 accomplishes 2 really big things, I think. It's for our sort of character creation and setting, and also setting boundaries and kind of understanding the vibe that we're going for. What are the boundaries, etc. So here on Reddit, I actually found this RPG consent checklist. This is something that you might want to go over. Just so, a lot of stuff randomly comes up in Dungeons and Dragons and games like this. And actually, a lot of stuff on this list actually does come up within Call of the Netherdeep or within the Frozen Sick. Freezing to death or drowning, paralysis, physical restraint. Some of those things are good to know. We can write around these or kind of change them out for different challenges. There's no need to make anyone uncomfortable playing this game or anything like that. So you want to get those boundaries sort of established and set, especially if it's their first time playing, so that everyone has fun and is comfortable. If we're going to do a campaign this long, we probably want to not use pre-gens, even if it's the first time. You can, it's certainly okay, but we want characters with backstories that will help them get invested in this. And we want to connect those to that first funeral at the beginning in the Frozen Sick, at least to start with, right? I have one player that sort of really, we've talked about this post in our Discord. This is a very good post that I will link down below, how to get your DM invested in your backstory. Basically, it's using the hero's journey. It's kind of giving you examples of how this works. Having some proper nouns is huge. Now I have somebody that I can work into your story. Somebody that has some connection to your character, and you don't know when they'll come up or if they'll come up. The DM can sort of drop in anytime. That's great. The hero's journey is a good way to go. So take a look at this post and hopefully that will help you. Another reason that I really like starting with this adventure is it gives us a chance to role play. You immediately have to investigate and you don't have, the elder gives you a couple of leads, but you don't have tons of direction on how to go about it. So rather than just like, you jump into a battle, it kind of is like, what do you think? What do you do? You know, a good way to get people to role play, which will be important for this campaign overall, is to just ask, you know, to go around and be like, what is PC doing? What is PC2 doing? You know, by their PC names. What is this person doing? At least to get them thinking, like, what is my character doing now? What is my character doing now in this situation? So that they're not passive watchers all the time and they know they have that power and that interaction. I also like to, you know, we've talked about tying in their backstories. That gives each of them a moment where it's about them. It's about their character finding something from their past, finding something that they're looking for, trying to do something specific to them. And peppering those in and sort of rotating around who gets them is going to be really good for, you know, getting everybody involved and kind of getting people that are newer to role playing out of their shell and getting them thinking about like, what do you do? How do you do this? How are you going to solve this? And that's why I like that this isn't just starting with a hex crawl and doing a bunch of battles. So back to the Frozen Sick here. We start on Palebank Village. I have a half orc. He is a druid and he used to be sort of a warrior, but he got into some trouble. He's no longer welcome. And he kind of went into hiding as a hermit and has been doing this small farming thing, selling garlic, and one of his old enemies found him. So now he's going to be on the run. How do we get him here? Well, I asked the player about maybe being a fisherman instead of a farmer. And maybe this town, Palebank, is, you know, a little bit further away from where he's hiding out. Maybe the other small town where he got caught, that happened and he wanted to go sell the last of his fish somewhere because now we want him to be a fisherman because it makes sense for this climate. I'm also going to have the half-orc have a connection to this guy that passed away from this sickness. He was the guy that he used to trade with, etc. So now, you know, he has some stake in the game. It's someone that he knew and was friendly with during his time as a hermit. I have a human cleric as well, and his situation is that he had his temple attacked and he ended up having to burn it down as it was getting attacked. So that's a whole thing that I could tie in after this campaign, intermittently through this campaign. And I'm probably going to drop some hints and maybe have another bad guy after the campaign is over of Call of the Netherdeep. Our cleric will come at the low moment that his temple has been destroyed and sort of meet up with our halfling here. And the father will encourage them to finally, you know, maybe you need to go find, you know, other temples and see, you know, maybe that will rejuvenate your spirit from this sort of tragedy. And also, you know, why don't you accompany him? It's dangerous outside, son. I know you want to, you know, do this. Go find your brother. It's a world out there. I'm worried about him too. So we're going to send them off on adventure. Now, the last place that the brother will have sent a letter from will be this town, Palebank Village. He used to send letters. They stopped coming. So now we have a reason to go here. Let's look for the brother. The last one is a paladin, and he is going to be kind of a bumbling paladin. He sort of graduated paladin school and didn't really do so hot. So he's getting stationed sort of out in the middle of nowhere here in Palebank Village, and that's why he's here. So they're all going to kind of come together at this funeral or in this town and realize that this funeral is going on, and the mayor will bring them together, or the elder or whatever, and get them to sort of help out with investigating what's going on in this town, why people are getting sick. So I'm going to add another sick person for my cleric. It's going to be someone that believes in the same God that he does, that, you know, he's going to go try and find the people here. Our halfling is going to be searching for his brother here and probably ask around. And maybe the elder will say, hey, I'll ask around and try and help you. I got connections if you can help me with this. And then also now our cleric is hooked in. Someone that, you know, worships his same deity is now sick too. Now we got reasons to help. The orc's just a good guy. The paladin was sent here to do good. So we're kind of on the same track here. Now we're on to the mission where we can start investigating what's going on in this town. Eventually we get enough information that we go to Croaker Cave, and there's a couple battles here. Another thing that I'm going to do is start all my PCs at level 2. Level 1 in D&D is very lethal. The times that I've come closest to having TPKs that I don't want, that feel cheap and stupid, are when people are level 1. So just giving them that HP boost, like, is fine. We can up the difficulty of some of these battles by duplicating some of these tokens if we want to. So maybe there's 3 frogs here. Or maybe we just, this is kind of the big guy at the end. Maybe we boost his HP a little bit to make it a little bit longer or harder of a fight. Now the Elder is going to send us over to Eisselcross. So we start over here at Palebank, and we're taking a ship all the way over here. And then they're going to need to go up into here, kind of over this way. There's a random encounter table. They'll have a few encounters on the way. One way to speed it up is there is like a griffin with an arrow stuck in it. If they help him and do kind of animal handling, they can fly some of the way and speed this up. This part, these kind of wild table encounters, I don't usually find them too interesting. I might pick out instead of rolling the most interesting one, or roll but re-roll if it's one that I don't think is that interesting. Another thing I do usually with this kind of thing, if I'm going to do it, is roll them ahead of time before the session so that I can get tokens in order. If I want there to be maps or anything, I have these maps that I found on Reddit, so I could load up the tokens that I need onto here to have that good to go. I can read the monster stats ahead of time. Then our party is going to work their way through this dungeon. There's traps, a teleportation thing. You can eventually get the antidote. So our PCs are supposed to go back and do the return journey. If you didn't do the griffin on the way here from that random encounter table, I would definitely do it on the way back, or just say, hey, you get there and it's uneventful. There's no reason we need to go through this twice. We did it once. We got the best parts out of it. One thing I will be doing different is there is a character called the Buyer who magically teleports the antidote from Cyrenlia over to Palebank Village. This NPC will not exist. We are going to travel back. We're going to make it quick and not really talk about it a whole lot. And we're going to have them return to Palebank Village and deliver this stuff right to that Elder. That gets them back here. So we need to get the party over to Jigao. They need to travel all the way over here, kind of around this coast. I'm going to have them do it by boat. What's our motivation? We have this cleric. He is going to hear a rumor from the now healed priest that he just saved, the worshiper of his god, that, there's been some other attacks on temples to this god. This is in his backstory now. There's other attacks, and he heard of one, over here in Jigao. Now, if you read the actual lore, his god maybe isn't here necessarily. This is kind of the land of the Luxon. We'll fudge it. It's fine. I'm also going to, we have this halfling that's searching for his brother. The Elder is going to give him some information that, the brother took off on one of these boats. They think that he took off on one that was headed to the east. Next stop's going to be Jigao. There's going to be a festival, and we're going to get into the actual Call of the Netherdeep, Chapter 1. Now, what I think you want to do before you get into actually starting Chapter 1, and this opening adventure should give you a couple sessions. You should have hopefully read the entire book by the time you're getting to this point, is you really want to have a sense of who your rivaling adventurers are. You want to know how many you're actually going to use. And if you're not going to use all 5, or if you need more than 5 to adapt for that, to create more, to kind of ditch one of these people, or have a way for them to maybe die. What I like to do for NPCs is try to tie them to someone that you know in real life, to a character in another movie, like just based on their attitude, not based on like, a fantasy character or whatever, just based on, who is this hot-headed, leader woman? What character embodies her? Is it somebody that's a little hot-headed at work? And try to just like talk like that person. What type of words do they commonly use? Are there, mannerisms that they have, or things that they're saying over and over, phrases? You might hear a phrase and think of your friend who says that same phrase all the time. What makes them who they are? Try to find some of those things for each of these characters before you start Chapter 1, because we're going to meet them all in Chapter 1. Now, what I'm planning to do in Chapter 1 here, I might just even plop this map down, and they won't be able to see all these numbers of where stuff is, and just have them sort of move their tokens around and be like, explore. What do you want to check out? What's going on? And some of the things in the adventure text don't necessarily happen or start until you've done other things. I might just throw that out a little bit or kind of fudge it. We'll see how it goes. I want them to kind of feel like they have the freedom to move around and do whatever. I want to do enough of these that they meet all the rivals. And then I'm going to kind of feel out how the party is doing with this. Are they having fun with this? Are they role-playing a lot? Am I bored of these? That's a thing to consider too, because I probably will get bored of these before the end of it, unless my party's doing really crazy, interesting stuff. So then we come to the Emerald Grotto, where we're trying to get this item first before the rivals, and it's over here in E10. The interesting thing about this map is that it forks, and that Maggie tries to block a path. Now, in the text, she blocks the south path. I'm going to have her block the east path. I'm pretty sure my party won't try to go through her. They might. I just think that this is the more interesting path. Now, if we look at Maggie's stats, she's obviously this giant ogre. She's very strong. You're not going to win grapple checks, and it's a festival. We're not really here to battle. So I don't think they're going to try to kill Maggie. Most of them have good alignment. That wouldn't really make a whole lot of sense. So, especially in, a contest. So I don't think that they'll try to kill Maggie. Now, they might try to push her out of the way or whatever, and Maggie's just there to waste their time. But I think they'll just take the other fork and hope for the best. Now, here they fight a giant octopus that gives dust of dehydration. This item is so interesting to me. I want to make sure my party finds it no matter which path they take. So if it's not here at the bottom, I'm going to move it here, or I'm going to put it in this room when they're searching. This group of dehydration dust or whatever, when you snap them against something or burst them, they unleash 25 gallons of water. And that's just a wacky element that I want somebody in the party to have and pull out at a random time that I don't expect in this campaign, because that will be a memorable moment. And it will give someone the power to do something cool at some point. They will probably be thinking about this in the back of their head, hopefully remember that they have it. So after we fight the giant octopus in this path, we have to, work against the current, and we get to this place where it's a seemingly dead end. Maybe as they search around, that's where I put the dust of dehydration. It's supposed to be at the bottom of this. They and the rivals, depending on how many rounds they take, are fighting this shark, or trying to get the magic item from this shark. And eventually it bats against this wall, and this glowing light comes out. And what do we do now? They could go look at this first, or they could try to win the contest and get that item first. I'm hoping that at least maybe some of them split up or go check this out first, so I don't have to even worry about the rival party even trying to get it first. The text also says that the rival party might hesitate to touch this item too. Either way, I want to make sure my party of the real players get the vision. I can motivate and deal with, doing whatever for the rivals. They can overhear parts of the vision. We can get them back on track somehow. We need our party to be motivated, and they need to see this vision. If for some reason they really hesitate to do it, or they don't want to touch it or something, I still think maybe the rivals they'll get the vision if the rivals touch the pennant first or something like that. We want them involved. So that's how I would play out chapter 1 here. I hope this was helpful. If it was helpful, let me know in the comments below. Give a like, subscribe. Let me know if I should keep making more of these for the rest of the campaign, because there is a lot of content and there's some other things that I might tweak here and there too. Until then, happy gaming.